Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I got a special guest today. Her name is Nicki Reading, and she has a very uh, special way of educating her kids, and we're going to kind of dive into that today. But before that, I need to make some announcements. Sponsors. This podcast episode is brought to you by Maple Morning Farms and Crestwood Feed and Seed Depot. Maple Morning Farms is a farm located in Crestwood, Kentucky. They are community supported agriculture. They grow fresh produce and farm fresh eggs because I know that everyone is now into locally grown farm fresh produce or eggs. Nowadays, people talk about how organic, at least the term organic, is such a watered down term now. And because we know that even though you call it organic, people still put chemicals in it of some kind to preserve it, and it is what it is. But if you are looking for something fresh out of the chicken, then you can find that at Maple Morning Farms. They sell their eggs for $5 a dozen, and you can come pick it up whenever you want. They are never in short supply. Also, you can get those eggs and other services at the Crestwood Feed and Seed Depot. The Crestwood Feed and Seed Depot also specializes in lawn maintenance and floristry, if I'm saying that right. They have a variety of decorative flowers, plants, and succulents that you can decorate your home with. And also they have top of the line lawn maintenance equipment and or mulch or fertilizer or grass seed. That can all be found at the Crestwood Feed and Seed Depot and can also be, um, how do I say this? Oh, you will also receive the best service there because the man who owns the place, Steve Bowen, has worked there for over 30 years and is a human almanac when it comes to, let's see, talking about lawn maintenance, talking about flowers, plants of any kind. You will get the best service because if you go to Walmart and you're looking for certain things and you just ask, hey, where can I find mulch, people are just going to point in that direction. Not Crestwood Feed and Seed Depot. They're going to ask you, what kind of yard do you have? Does the grass grow this tall? Does the grass grow like this? Well, then you'll probably need this mulch. We will probably need this fertilizer. And that's how they do it. They are top of the line service, top of the line quality products. Maple Morning Farms is top of the line fresh goods. And also, we have a new sponsor this week. Let me clear my throat for this, ladies and gentlemen. Our newest sponsor this week is Pearson Funeral Home. Pearson Funeral Home is located out in St. Matthews in Louisville, Kentucky. They are a family-owned establishment. They always have an owner there to assist with anything at all times. They are the largest chapel in Louisville. They have great quality service, as given by several different reviews. Their services are traditional, and we know nowadays how people like traditional things. They have cremation services there so that you don't have to outsource the cremation process to anyone else. And they value your investment. Plain and simple. They value your time. They value your investment. They value your relationship because they know, as well as anybody else, that to lose a loved one is obviously too soon. It's always too soon. But they want to make that into a good and special occasion by giving you the proper funeral and the proper burial that your loved one deserves. They understand that. They are very, very, very intentional about that. So, With that being said, if you want to reach out to Pearson Funeral Home for any future services, you can find them on 149 Breckenridge Lane, Louisville, Kentucky 40207. And the phone number to contact them with is 502 896 0349. That's Pearson. That is Pearson Funeral Home, ladies and gentlemen, and they are our newest sponsor. All right, guys, let's dive into the show. Thank you for listening once again, and I hope I can bring you some value today. Hey everybody, thank you for tuning back in. I have a very special guest with me today. Her name is Nicki Reading. She has a beautiful family. She brought them actually here today, and we are going to be talking about her lifestyle. She told me that by the end of this year, her and her family will be taking a trip to New Zealand, but there's particular reasons for it, and I think it's something that everybody can learn a little something from. So, Nicki, thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Go ahead and talk about yourself for a little bit.
Okay. I am a mama and a wife to an amazing man. We have 4 beautiful children. Charlie is 6. Max, no, well, yeah, he's almost 7. So Charlie's 6, Max is 5, William's 4, and Ruby's 2. So we waited a little bit until we had kids, but then just back to back to back.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Cool. So you go about educating your kids in a certain way. I've noticed on your Instagram you guys are outdoors a bunch and everything. You kind of do the homeschool method, but it's still different. And I don't know all the ins and outs of it, right? So that's obviously why I have you here. Can you tell me a little bit about your approach to educating your kids?
Yeah, I never thought that I would homeschool. I always thought homeschoolers were just a bunch of weirdies before I had kids. So it's like, yeah. So Charlie was born, and I was thinking, okay, what type of education do we want to do? Traditional or public school? Which I didn't really want him in public school. I've been in public school. Then I was looking at Waldorf or Montessori or a Christian education or all of them had good aspects, but I wanted to be able to conglomerate a little bit of this into one type of education. And I was praying one day. Someone was talking to me about homeschooling, and then I was just like, okay, Lord, if you want me to homeschool, you are going to have to put that desire in me, because I do not want to homeschool my kids. I want them to be in a cultured environment and, with people smarter than me. And then about a year later, I'd just been doing some research and studying, and I had this intense, overwhelming desire to homeschool my children. And then it would just hit me. I was like, oh, I prayed for that. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. He answered my prayers. So,
nice.
And, I would say just life is school. Everything that we do is them learning. And, we were outside a lot. We don't do electronics. We don't, like we just read Mary Poppins. So we watched like the original movie, but,
do you see they're remaking that with Emily Blunt?
No, I don't know who Emily Blunt is.
Oh, she's a famous actress now, right? But they're they're
Disney's. How do you remake Mary Poppins?
That was my exact question. I said they've got so much to live up to right now if they're going to redo that. But best of luck. Yeah. Cool.
But no, we're just. I think I've learned more with each kid and how to. We did like. Every year's different, I guess. Every year's different. But like with, there's Charlie, there's Max, and they learn, Charlie's very, he's structured, he's type A, he's obsessive compulsive. And he learns one way. Then Max comes along, and he's just a good, like he receives teaching really well. Then William comes along, and he's a bullet, and he's just this life force. And I think he's forced us outside more.
Really?
And so now we practically live outside. And I think I'm like, he's a blessing. William's a blessing all around. He's so loved. But we're at the creek, we're hiking, we're we'd go to the library once a week and get 50 to 75 books, and we're just in books, and like I'm babbling.
50 to 75 books.
Yeah,
though.
kids' books. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, I mean, we just pack our bags and they'll carry, everybody.
But so you, I guess, for like just regular hobbies or something, reading is definitely encouraged.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Charlie, that is he is obsessed with books, and I love it. But there's times I'm like, okay, Charlie, have chores, But yeah, I mean, we read a lot, and we listen to audiobooks in the car a lot. And
do your kids have any electronics of any kind?
No. Like, we don't have a TV. We did have a TV that when we sold our house, moved to the camper, then we just got rid of the TV.
Yeah.
And I think that is when we were, honestly, like, looking back, Jamie and I probably, like, after the kids were in bed, we would sit down and watch a show, and it was just too much. But when we got rid of the TV, I think that we were more, left us open to, like, hear and see, life around us and hear from God more. And I mean, we're believers, and so I don't know if your listeners are, but this is just coming. This is us.
No, absolutely. I have different people of all walks of life on here. I had a Islamic gentleman on the other week, but no, yeah, that's really cool though, because one of the things nowadays is that, I mean, I didn't have this when I was younger, but nowadays, like if I'm in an Outback Steakhouse or something, like waiting on a table, if a kid's not whining and crying, I'm seeing their faces glued to an iPad, and it kind of unsettles me a little bit.
Okay, can I ask how old you are?
I'm 24.
Okay, this is, and maybe we're just going to hone in on this subject because I've been asking for a couple years, how can we tell the next generation or my generation, stop doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
Because I get it. Yeah. Like my husband is in real estate. He works a lot on his phone because it's, transactions and dealing with clients and everything. But I'm seeing, and I understand you're an adult, you have stuff you have to do on the phone, but there's so much trash also on the phone. But it's, like we were at a restaurant a while back, and there was a group of adults. And then, like, this kid was just on iPad. But you see it everywhere. I mean, you see kids on iPads and phones. And I want to tell parents, just stop. Yeah. Like, let your kids, if they're fussy, okay. Like, then you need to work it out. You need to help them deal with their mood and what's going on. And but they just miss out so much on everything around them and on interacting with people. Like, we were at a family function, and I had like 4 nieces and nephews sitting side by side, like doing this. And I'm looking down, texting. Right? I'm like, what are you doing? And then I asked my nephew, I said, what's going on? Like, what? Do you all see anything wrong with this? It's like, no, it's just normal. Yeah. It's not normal. I mean, it's shutting down like your ability to socialize. It's shutting down emotional parts of your brain. It's, it's so important for kids not to
like to be honest, that as a mom who's taking such huge strides to educate her kids properly, that's an encouraging thing to hear from you, that you notice that at least, and that it's at least what you're doing in my eyes is you're giving the example of saying, okay, it's possible to get your kids to observe the world that is actually around them, instead of making them shut their mind down to keep the peace for some weird reason. Like, if people honestly, like, here's my thing. Here's what I notice. On top of electronics, there's also several other things in my mind that goes on that really suppresses the natural creative energy of a child that you notice, that it's a good thing, and you're trying to at least encourage it into the right direction to where they can use it to educate themselves, right? But think about this. With, like, let's say a kid is very distracted in class, or he's got a lot of energy and he loves to talk to people and he's rambling. What do you think people are going to say?
ADD.
He's got ADHD.
He's a boy.
So
he's a boy.
He's a boy.
He's a boy.
He is a testosterone-filled ball of energy.
I've got
and
3
people,
that are.
So it's like it's in my mind. I see people see that, and then they're like, "Oh, we just need to pump this kid full of Ritalin." or Adderall.
Oh my goodness.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, but see, I had that in the
Oh,
third
you did.
grade. I had to do that, right?
Oh.
And the thing was is like to this day, like my mom takes it so that she can concentrate on her day, and she's chosen that willingly, and
Right.
that's good for her. But here's the thing, I don't do it for myself because I remember what I felt like when I was a kid. My mom said I lost 10 pounds as a
Oh.
third grader when I took that. As a third grader, I was a zombie.
I was gonna ask, like, were you like, did you feel like a zombie?
No,
Because
she
there
made
was.
me stop taking it because I stopped talking, and she didn't like that.
Oh.
And it was one of those things where it was like, okay, we're noticing these days that there is a shift in instead of what is in what is good to what is convenient or what is comfortable. If your kid's wild, pump him full of Ritalin. If your kid needs something to do,
Give him a bike.
right,
Give him a bike.
give him a bike, give him a basketball, give
Mm-hmm.
him some tough thing that he can play with and throw and just like release some energy on. But instead, they believe that the answer is instant stimulation
Oh my goodness.
given by an electronic that
Oh.
is built to
And
to
but here's the
yeah.
deal. Like when they're done, I've noticed this with my kids. Like if we and I swear every time we watch a movie, I'm like, okay, there's no more movies ever again. Because
Right,
after
right.
we're done, I mean, they are wound up. Like it's even
Yeah.
more. I mean, it's like, the science behind that is. We can go into that, but
Mm-hmm.
like what you were saying. Have you heard of John Holt?
Yes.
Okay.
Or wait. No. I've heard of somebody named Holt, but I don't think we're talking about the same person. Who
No,
are you
he
talking
would.
about?
I wrote down something that he had said. What was I going to say?
What does he do?
He was an American educator,
Okay.
and he came to the conclusion after a career of teaching that
Yeah.
the education system didn't work.
Yeah.
He believed that school stunted the child's like natural desire to learn, and he was just talking. What was it? Oh, I know that I wasn't going there. I was going somewhere else, but I can go back there.
Yeah.
But no, I wasn't going there. Can I come back there?
No,
later?
absolutely.
Okay.
It's cool.
No, you were talking about like when you were 80, when you
ADD and
yeah.
ADHD, yeah.
I was thinking about William and how we said give him a bite, give him this. With my third boy William, I've noticed that like he is this ball. I mean, he came into the world like
Right.
a firestorm, and that is his personality.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's on his bike full speed. He's running full speed. But two, I've also thought, or I tried this. We were just doing some like art.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, this 6 months ago, and like we were stringing some beads, and it like with as much energy, it was almost like it harnessed his energy in, and he was able to use like his focus
Mm-hmm.
was here. And so maybe doing, if a kid has all this energy, doing something creative with your hands that really focus them in where they're.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would that have worked for you as a kid? Or did you feel like?
Well, what they ended up doing was I had to go to this this class every other day, and it was called Discovery, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it was their special education program that was. So when I was on Adderall,
Mm-hmm.
I turned into a zombie.
Mm.
In fact, I wasn't just a zombie, but I was also very aggressive,
Oh wow.
very easily agitated, and I noticed it. And I was like, hey guys, I have
Third
to.
grade.
Well, yeah, but then I took it again in middle school, and then that's when the aggression kicked in because I was hitting puberty.
Oh.
And then I was like, guys, I got to stop taking this.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do this. Like, it's not good because I wanna flip a table right now, and when I'm not on there, like I'm better about that. But so when I'm not on Adderall, right? Obviously, I'm not. I'm all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But they put me in this program to learn. Or to see how I learned in a particular way. So naturally, most kids, you could say, are very visual
Mm-hmm.
because you got a teacher standing up by a whiteboard who's doing lectures and whatnot and writing, and then kids are taking notes and whatnot, and they see the notes, and then that's how they get input, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's other ways of doing that by being hands-on. Maybe you're doing a project in chemistry class where you're working with different chemicals, doing different measurements. That's a hands-on thing.
Yeah.
But then there's auditory. right?
Right, right.
And so, you play audiobooks for your kids, and I bet they absorb a lot if they're listening or if they find that book entertaining.
Yeah.
So they gave me tests over the years to see how I absorbed information the most. I scored a 70% on reading and visual.
Oh, wow.
So somebody started writing something down on the board. It's not that I wouldn't remember it, it's just I would get so bored I would just trail
Oh,
off
yeah.
and start thinking
Yeah.
about other things. But then I scored 100% in hands-on,
Oh,
which I'm very
wow.
good if somebody's like, come over here and then show me how you like do this, and then I would remember it immediately. And then I was 121% in auditory. So I could listen to an audiobook instead of reading a book for a book report, and I could tell you almost every single detail of the
Yeah.
book. Like I could almost repeat this entire conversation.
Oh my goodness.
Just like with
That's wild.
movies when I was a kid, like Disney movies, like Lion King or something. To this day, I can say every single line before it happens in the movie.
Oh, that's
Like I know
crazy.
the next part. But so that was my way of absorbing information and learning. But that's something that, and like you said, our education system is not taking into account.
Mm-mm.
You have noticed with your 4 different children that they are different caliber kids. Like
Yeah.
one is full of energy, the other is very honed in on a particular thing. The other might be reserved. Your daughter, she seems like a very reserved person, but she looks like she's observing
Yeah.
a lot of
She's
stuff.
very analytical,
She doesn't
for sure.
operate like your one son does, so you know that
No.
children grow in a different way.
Right.
Our education system, I believe, in my mind, was developed around the age of industry, the industrial age,
Oh, I totally agree.
and then we never bothered to improve
Right.
because we're not a nation of factories anymore. We're a nation of innovators now, and if people want to be innovative, they have to go and do it all on their own. They have
Right.
to go and make huge sacrifices to develop a skill that they believe that they were granted,
Yeah.
and have to develop something from there. But you know that that's the case, and like with your kids, you're like, okay, my kids, they all have these different gifts. I have to figure out how to bring out the best in every
I was
one of
just thinking
them.
about that last night. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess like one of my questions is, how do you resist the temptation of, I guess, allowing any of that culture to enter into your family? Like, because
Hmm.
I, I I see you and I see the example that you're setting, but if any other mom or parent or family is looking at you and they're like, oh, I don't know how she does it, how do you do it? Where does that conviction come from?
Well, I mean, the conviction comes from our creator, but
Yeah.
um, I think I'm a future thinker. I'm always, and maybe I'm too analytical. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
constantly thinking, okay, how's this going to affect this, and what are the outcomes here?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we also need to look back at history,
Mm-hmm.
like look to the past, but think about the future. I mean, because we're raising the next generation. I know
Right.
that's, and I'm not trying to be cliche or like,
But you're true. That's true, though.
yeah, and I'm seeing all these kids who are like with their heads down and not looking at the world around them, and I don't want that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want. I mean, would you rather like if you own a business, who do you want? Who do you want to hire for? Someone who's overeducated and has no social.
It's like a robot or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like got a twitch in my eye that's been bothering me for 3 days. I'm sorry. I
Oh
keep
no,
like
you're
holding
totally
my
fine.
eye.
You're good. You're good.
I don't know. I could just go on, but to resist the temptation, bring that. It's not really a temptation to allow that type of culture into
Mm-hmm.
our family because there's too much life to experience to
Yeah.
get trapped in that other mindset.
Yeah.
I don't know. We just I don't know. Like, what are you? Do you mean like like not allowing technology, or not allowing like just the mindset
Well,
of the education system, or?
so I guess you had to start somewhere, right?
Mhm.
And it's most parents are or most families, when they get started, they're kind of like, okay, we need to get this in order, get this in order, we need to have these payments ready, we need to have this. But then, like, somehow, before all of that began, you and your husband decided how you were going to set the pace, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Most families look for, like, okay, which school am I going to put them into, just like you did.
mm-hmm,
Like, you evaluated all these schools and all these different educations that
mm-hmm,
some had positives, some had negatives, but then you decided if you want the job done right, do it yourself.
yeah.
How did you start that process?
Okay, so we were living in Crescent Hill at the time. I was
Mm-hmm.
working like very part time as a personal trainer, and Jamie was doing like 2 jobs. And um, I mean, we made the sacrifice. We sold that house and moved into a smaller house because I wanted to be home
Mm-hmm.
with Charlie. I mean, Charlie was really young, and I didn't want anybody else raising him. But and I think part of the reason why um, we waited so long to have kids is I didn't want to put my kids in daycare. I just
Yeah.
think that's a very, and no, I mean, please, if whoever's listening, no disrespect and no offense to anyone who
Right.
does do that, because there's moments who have to. I
Right.
totally understand, and
Exactly.
my heart goes out to you. But for us personally, I didn't want my kids, and I didn't want anyone else raising my kids. So
Yeah.
we sold our home and we made sacrifices, and I just the American dream isn't for us all
Mm-hmm.
about more, more, more. It's about raising our kids, ourselves, and raising them right and to
Mm-hmm.
be good, upstanding men and women one day. And so, I
Nice.
mean, how we got that started is we sacrificed.
Yeah.
And we made that commitment together. So
Nice. What about what would you say? Um, what is it about your upbringing, you and your husband's upbringing, that probably led you here?
I was thinking about that. We were talking about that. I remember, and this may sound kind of hokey or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
my parents, both of them worked, and so my grandma would watch my cousins and I,
Mm-hmm.
and so we would be playing in the woods, all day.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd blow the whistle at lunchtime. We'd eat lunch outside. We'd go back in the woods. If we were thirsty, we'd go to the kitchen sink, community cup, go right back out.
Nice.
If it was a rainy day, we'd play hide the thimble. There wasn't like TV. But then on like the flip side, my other grandma, we'd go over there and she would she loved us with food. So
Right.
she would feed us and put us in front of the TV. And so I saw like both, I experienced both. And I just, my most memorable times as a child, and the things that I learned, I think, in my formative years were spent in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was such a beautiful time, and I want my kids to experience that too, to be able to get in the world, and instead of sitting at a desk and learning about how, the parts of a caterpillar or the parts of a spider, get out and go find them, and then we'll look at a book, and then we'll see, okay, well here, and that's science.
Yeah.
And then, cooking together, and we're learning about measurements and doing math and reading books together, and reading Little House on the Prairie, learning about history of our country, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So I guess, did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, you did.
Okay.
You did. That's a lot about your childhood.
Okay.
Like, I remember that too. But
Yeah.
it was when I was, in my infant years, I can remember, at least when I was like 5 or 6, I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house, but they had a lot of land,
Mm-hmm.
and I was outside all the time.
I would choose that night like 100 times over instead of sitting in front of a Nintendo at the 8.
Right. But then, like, so as I got older, we moved to a neighborhood over in St. Matthews,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a lot of friends there. We played outside. We rode bikes all day long.
Yeah.
Brother and sister come along when I was 7
Mm-hmm.
and 9. Like, that's when they were born, and like they're part of the generation, like, of kids now. You want to know what their generation's called?
What?
iGen.
Oh, I think my mom read a book called something. It was.
That's literally the name of their generation.
That's
iGen, like iPhone.
scary.
Right, but that should be clear enough. Like that should be just for sure, like a giveaway. But so what I noticed was, I got my first video game console when I was, I think, in the third or fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that was like so stimulating. But
Mm.
even my mom knew, she was like, "You only have an hour of this.
Yeah.
Go outside."
Yeah.
And I just remember being like wildly addicted to it, right?
Totally.
But I knew the
Totally.
difference. My brother and sister grew up with it.
Ah.
They haven't known anything different, and that was one of the
Okay,
things
so
where you're right. So that's why that's why I'm talking to you, because like you're a trailblazer for this, and I think other people are starting to pick up on it though. I think other people are looking at kids that are just like getting these bloodshot eyes looking at electronics in public places.
It makes me want to cry. Like
Yeah.
it just.
But what you're doing is you're choosing to be above that, and you're not going with the mainstream. And so I think what people can at least learn from this episode here is that it's possible. It takes a little sacrifice, but what you and any other family are capable of doing is, with any of the children that they are privileged to have, they can give them a proper education and still not hinder any of the beautiful parts about them whatsoever, so that they can blossom into beautiful individuals.
Yeah.
But that was, so to kind of trail off here a little bit, what you were talking about with the public school system and with other systems. Somebody, I can't remember who said this the other day, but it was probably one of the most like it melted my brain when they said this. But so I was talking about how our education system was built for the age of industry, right? The industrial age.
Right.
My buddy said that our education system is built for America's incarceration system.
Oh my gosh.
So think about this. You've got people in prison who just ended up there because of their upbringing, right? It's a culture, it's whatever. And in the morning, they have a meal in the morning because the bell rings and the door opens and they go to the cafeteria. Then the bell rings and they go back to their cells. The bell rings, they go outside. The bell rings, they go back into their cell. The bell rings, they have another meal. You go to a public school system, they're taught not to speak. They're taught not to ask questions. They're taught to hear what they're supposed to hear. The bell rings, they go and they have a meal. The bell rings, they come back. The bell rings, they go outside. The bell rings, they go and they listen to more people talk, and they don't say a word.
That's nauseating. And that's the most curious thing. And that's what John Hope was talking about. I was reading this thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying the most curious thing about school are your peers, but you're not even allowed to smile at them or talk to them. I mean, it's like you're shutting down that part of the brain that. Yep.
And that's why and I even, I got a good education, right? I was privileged to be able to go to the high school that I went to, but I still knew, as far as developing into an individual and as an adult, I was thrown to the wolves when it came to college, right? Because bell after bell after schedule, the month of May, my senior year, when I'm graduating, I'm 18 years old. And I'm still raising my hand asking permission to go use the restroom. The month after that, I'm supposed to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I'm supposed to figure out how I'm going to live, how I'm going to set the pace and the tone for the rest of my life, and what habits. Are you kidding me?
No, it's insane. And I know you can't go back in time, but maybe I'm too old fashioned. But like I look back at you read stories like Little House on the Prairie, or you read and boys became men a lot earlier because they were in the fields with their fathers, and their fathers were teaching them. They were with other men, and they were growing up learning about life skills and how to survive and how to take care of yourself, take care of your family, and
you develop by communication too. That time spent with an individual, the time your children get to spend with you, They're developing
Mm-hmm.
because they're not just hearing the words that you're saying, but they're observing you.
Mm-hmm.
They're observing how you say it, your
Mm-hmm.
your posture,
Yeah.
your body language, and everything. When 2/3 of your life is spent inside of a room where somebody lectures on a whiteboard, what kind of personality are you developing? Even further, when you incorporate iPads, which is what's happening in my old high school, into the classroom, where now all of your assignments are conducted on an LED light screen that is shining into your eyes, and now you're not even hearing people talk, what kind of personality are you developing?
Just
How do you communicate with somebody?
Just a zombie. Like, yeah.
How would a guy who's observed that his entire life have the guts to ask out a girl and have the personality to ask out a
Word
girl?
to your mother. Word to seriously. Yes, you're preaching the truth.
And that's but that's what it is. It's a giant this thing that we call the American dream has we haven't kept it in check, and it's been turned into this giant machine where we filter out people into the holes and the cogs that we need them to be, and we twist their arms just enough to where they feel like everyone's free. But then you're pinned down.
Mm-hmm.
You're pinned down with some 9 to 5 where you've had to suppress the best parts of yourself in order to fit into some industry to where you go and do something meaningless, and then you don't express yourself.
Exactly.
That's
I would.
Yeah.
I may get like.
Our core temperature is literally changing.
I know, but I would much rather see my sons and daughter not go to college. Heaven forbid. And,
right.
It's okay. It's okay if they pursue something that they are using their God-given talents, and they are using their creativity, and they're happy, and they're obviously providing for their families.
Yeah.
It's okay if they don't. There's a lot to say there.
Is there a particular actually, let's do this.
Okay.
Can you take me through a day in the life of a regular school day with you and your kids?
Yeah, but like every day's different. So, and every month changes. But we've been following like it's just been a really good rhythm this year, and maybe I'm more relaxed and I'm not putting pressure on myself from other homeschooling moms, because one homeschool mom will push classical education or this type of education or this, and like, you know what, I know my kids, I know how they operate, but we get up in the morning. I get up in the mornings first and exercise, and then I'll hopefully they'll still be in bed while I get breakfast going for them. But something about candlelight at breakfast, I don't know what, it sets this really cool, calm mood. So
seriously,
yeah, and I'll put on like.
Do you keep the lights off in your house?
I like sunlight in the morning, so I don't turn lights on until we actually need them.
So sunlight and candlelight to get the day going.
Yeah. I mean, I open the window, curtains and all that stuff. But and then we put on like classical, like I like Pandora's Beethoven Station, or we'll put on just some good,
Holy cow.
music. And then breakfast is like I'll set out like a fruit tray with some dates or nuts, and then I'll make them either. I don't know. You don't have to go into that, but I'll make their breakfast. And
you pretty particular about their diet?
Yeah. I mean, we've just in the past couple months cut out sugar completely, because we've just had, like, my husband has had some health concerns, and it's just, I feel like crud when I'm on it, and I don't want our kids having the same issues that we have, because so, and we're kosher, like we keep kosher.
Okay.
So we'll have a good healthy breakfast, and then we'll do chores. So they'll make beds, they'll wash dishes, they'll change laundry, put clothes on the clothesline. We don't have animals yet, just because we're in a temporary location. I don't know if we're going to stay at this home, but when we were at our old house, they would feed chickens, take care of them. Let's see. So chores, and then just read some good books. We like Mondays. I'm trying to follow this order. Sometimes it changes, but like music Monday. Tuesday we'll have tea time, like in the afternoon, when read some poetry books. Wednesday maybe it was Nature Wednesday, so we're in nature all the time. But okay. Wednesday we're really honed in. Thursday we'll have like art day. Friday, writing, and free writing. They'll Charlie and Max are really good. Well, William too.
Okay.
Tell me stories, and so we'll write them down, and then we'll read each other's stories. So it's just like creative. And then also getting ready for Shabbat, we keep we keep the Sabbath. Friday is exciting, like getting ready we'll have a big Shabbat dinner that night.
So you do Sabbath on Saturdays?
Yeah, because we're not Seventh Day Adventists. We're not.
Yeah.
We are, we serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and his son, Jesus. So, but no, we keep Sabbath. So that's a real fun, rhythm to our week, or it kind of revolves around the Sabbath. So cool. It's awesome. We love it. The boys love it. That's our favorite day of the week. And so and then Sunday is kind of like getting ready for the school week.
Okay. As far as math or science go, is there any curriculum that you follow?
I've not yet, because Charlie's just. It's crazy and that's something that we'll get as they get older. I'm going to have to, we'll have tutors or something with math. As stuff gets harder,
right?
Or doing. My mom can't go there yet. They're 6, but we do. I'll try teaching them some things, and maybe I've taught too soon, and I'll feel like a resistance. They'll kind of buck against me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, all right, you're not ready. So I'll back off, and then a couple months down the later, they're doing it. And so we'll be in the car. This happens all the time, and they're just like, hey, Mom, this plus this is this, or this times this or this, and they're like what? We didn't talk about this. You're doing math, and that they're smart. They figure things out. They're curious learners. They're inquisitive. They seek things out. I give them a lot of freedom to learn on their own too. But as far as science and math, we're gonna there's lots of stuff we do that's life with science and math. But as far as curriculum, I don't follow one set curriculum.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. As far as I guess socializing, play dates, other things like that. Y'all have friends over all the time, or from time to time. Cool.
Yeah, we do play dates. We
my cousins were homeschooled, right?
Yeah.
And so that was always a discussion in our family.
It is.
Was
it
like,
is.
Well, Drew is at school all the time and he gets to socialize with kids. Are your kids going to be able to hang out with kids?
I know. And that is that's a thing that I was worried about too. But I'll look at my kids and they can go up to anybody, any age, and carry on a conversation. It's really beautiful. And then when we we have friends that we hang out with through the week, and go hiking or go to the creek or science center or zoo or whatever. But and then when we go to our when we meet with people on Saturday, their friends are all ages, and it doesn't matter. They just play and they can interact and
nice.
But then too, you look at schools when they're. I don't want to give a blanket statement, but there's so much bullying going on, and it's
that's true.
And my kids aren't learning that.
Yeah, there's even there's cyberbullying now and whatnot, and that was a thing when I was in high school and whatnot, because Facebook came out, and then kids figured out how to say nasty things behind a keyboard. But
my husband says you can be 6 foot tall and bulletproof behind a keyboard. It's
ridiculous. But no, I'm right there with you as far as bullying goes.
Kids learn terrible things from kids. And
it's just
they need the adult. I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, if a kid doesn't know how to dissect a situation that happened, I got bullied and stuff, but but my mom and dad and even other family showed me how to dissect that situation. Right? They were like, parents. Okay, so this kid, he said this because he probably feels this way, or he's probably just doing it because he's getting a reaction out of you, or something like that.
Yeah.
Teaching me those things.
Yeah.
I saw kids who would not talk about it, and then they developed in a way where they had a very hindered personality.
Yeah.
And there's a buddy that I have,
Sad.
and do you know anything about Asperger's?
Um, no, I haven't like done any like
Yeah.
research studying, but I know what it is.
Well,
Like,
well, I know more than one, but there was a friend of mine who got bullied a lot in elementary school, and we weren't at the same school at the time, but I still knew who he was.
mm-hmm.
And to this day, I still think that some of that bullying had a part in him maybe developing Asperger's or something like that, because I mean he was tortured. Like
Oh,
it was not a good thing to watch, and I was the same age as him, and it was just by kids that were older, and I didn't know what to do. But then lo and behold,
yeah,
years
you're a
later,
kid. It's like your
yeah,
heart goes out to him, but then you don't. Yeah,
I don't want to.
you're a
It's like,
kid.
but I don't
You're a
want to be a
kid.
part of that. Like I
Yeah,
don't want to get
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But you know, I ended up, people ended up reaching out to him and being his friend when he matured. But still, to this day, um, he has to go and learn social cues,
Hmm.
like because he's like, I don't know what to do,
Poor guy.
and it's just one of those things where, I mean, you kids can inflict damage that has lasting effects, and
Oh my
people
gosh.
don't know
Yeah.
that. People still, I still think
You
people
have
aren't
horror
aware of that,
stories from when
even.
you're in school. I mean, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Even in a PC culture and stuff too, like
Mm-hmm.
everyone's like sensitive about what they say.
Right.
Kids will still say some foolish stuff,
Yeah.
but then in a PC culture, parents won't know how to handle it. Parents are going to call out other parents and be like, hey, your kid said this. Like, what are you going to do? It's like probably nothing,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not allowed to say anything, or
Right.
else you're going to get in trouble, and then people are going to be like, well, we don't really tolerate that kind of way of thinking here. Then your kid gets kicked out of school because you're causing a scene or something, and then it spirals into this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I that was if I ever end up homeschooling my kids, that definitely would be a huge reason that I would, because I think, um, if not for the grace of God, I would have been very, very close to I don't know, developing in a unfortunate way. Maybe had I not had the guidance that I had, because I was there for.
Mm.
Uh, I don't know. I experienced it a lot, and I could tell people like, okay, I know exactly like
Oh
what's going
wow.
on here, and like some of my other friends like don't understand because they weren't bullied and whatnot. But it was just, it's not anything that any particular kid does. It's just it happens if you're in the wrong place in the wrong time and you react to it in a weird way because
Right.
you're an undeveloped child.
Right.
Then you're going to become a target, plain and simple.
Right.
Like nobody has a sign in their back saying that I would be the best person to bully. Like it just happens. But
Hmm.
yeah, but
No, I
so
hear you. I hear you.
so as your kids get older and stuff, as far as sports goes and activities, what does that look like down the road?
Um, like, see, the only one that I think would really be interested in sports.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Max is interested in sports, but we haven't like pushed it because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's another subject. I feel like our culture's so it's like they worship sports, and
Yeah,
um, I'm cool if they want to play. I'm
yeah,
cool if they don't. I don't think that they have to do that to like play basketball, and to identify themselves.
right,
Um,
right.
um, but I'm totally fine if
Mm-hmm.
they verbalize that they want to do something. Great. Like
Cool.
William's really good at gymnastics, um, and so yeah.
I've always kind of thought this. I've always kind of thought about this because I played a lot of team sports growing up, but I
Mm-hmm.
never found myself pushing myself as hard as I did until I got into an individual sport, and I was
Oh.
pole vaulting and doing
Oh
track.
wow.
And I find myself waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning going on a run or
Yeah.
exercising because I wanted to get better. I wanted to beat my personal record.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things where I was like, holy crap, I never felt this way with a team sport. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm
and
just
see, that's
going
for
to,
everyone, and exactly, and some kids do better with team sports and some don't, and
yeah,
but I'm not anti-sports, I guess, but I'm also not one of those parents sitting on the sideline screaming at my kids because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right, right. I don't know. I've always thought. I think with my kids, I would let them play whatever sports they want, but I would also say, like, you know what, you need to pick an individual sport and push yourself.
Yeah, we're definitely not doing like where it's so jam packed where we're in the car all day and then driving to every sport. That just gets out of hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that. Cool.
But yeah, as far as homeschool, there are places that homeschoolers can actually plug in to do that types of stuff. So it's not we're not preventing them in any way.
I feel that. Cool.
Okay.
So this trip that's going to be happening at the end of the year, New Zealand, right? Tell me about that.
So I have a friend that lives there, and I went to the North Island, New Zealand, when I was like 20, 21, something like that. Her parents flew me over for her 21st birthday. So yeah,
okay, cool.
And I've just been talking about it to my husband ever since, and he's like, "Okay, let's just do it," because we're in our flip house. We sold our, so we're sort of debt free right now, and so we have freedom to be able to do it. And my husband's business is slow in December, so we're just gonna pack up the kids and go. We're gonna go for 3 weeks. South Island. We're gonna take a camp. We're renting a camper van. We're gonna tour around the South Island the first week.
Nice. Then
fly to the North Island the second week. We're gonna stay with my friend. They've got like this farm.
Yeah.
And then.
Have you heard about that? There's this thing that's going on in New Zealand right now. So it's like a traveler's bed and breakfast style, make a living at the same time thing. There is this community of farms throughout all of New Zealand that you can go to for a week to 2 weeks at a time. You can work on the farm.
Oh, cool.
And then it pays for your stay, and then you can keep going from farm to farm, traveling and exploring. Yeah.
I follow this like permaculture place. It was like a farm like in New Zealand. Well, yeah, on Instagram. Mm-hmm. But actually I haven't seen it on my feed in a long time. I can't remember the name of it, but I wonder if that's...
I don't know. I couldn't tell you what I couldn't tell you what the thing was called.
That's really
my
cool.
friend mentioned it to me in passing.
If I didn't have kids, I would totally move to New Zealand and do that.
Oh yeah,
it's my favorite place ever.
You know what you have to do though when you go?
What?
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, totally. Yeah, we drove past it, and like I have a picture of me holding a sign, Lord of the Rings. You know what I was there before.
You have to do the whole thing. Like you have to go to all the places.
Oh my
for
goodness.
Me, like I've heard of people going and they're like,
yeah, we should. You know what? How to read that? We should read that book. Thank you for bringing that because we'll
him and J.R.R. Tolkien J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, both Christian authors and everything, and they were both. It was their adaptation of the gospel story. Do you know that?
Yeah, well, I knew that the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was, had like a gospel feel to it. But we haven't finished. We started the first like 3 or 4 books. We haven't finished them. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know that about the Lord of the Rings. Yep. Very cool.
Yep, for sure.
Very cool.
But yeah. I think that's something that you and your whole family would definitely appreciate. Oh yeah. They actually the set of Hobbiton. Have you seen the movies?
Yeah.
Okay, so the set where they're in the Shire and everything.
Yeah.
They preserved that set and they actually made it into a small city. Oh my goodness. So like you can't stay there, but you can go there and like eat at restaurants there and all that. It's so.
All my boys would love it.
It's so cool. Yeah, that's cool. So you're gonna go there for 3 weeks, and then...
the second week we'll be with my friend, and then we'll like go. There's like this place where we would. There's a Maori dinner. We want to see them. In Rotorua. Then the third week, her parents have a beach house on the very northern tip of the island that we're gonna stay out. But
awesome.
I don't know. We're just gonna kind of wing it for some of the trip.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. All right, I'm going to ask you some rapid-fire questions here, and then we'll kind of wrap it up,
okay.
All right, so what is your favorite book?
For me personally, Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and Prejudice?
Yeah, I love it. It's just...
Cool.
Yeah.
What is your favorite movie?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. As a kid, I loved Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now I don't know.
Do you know that was the first movie to ever say, like, a curse word?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I did know that. Yeah, because it was a big deal when he said that at the end.
Yeah, no, it it was insane to everybody when he said that right at the
Yeah.
end, and then it ended, and everyone's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Okay.
All right, what is your favorite music or music artist or song?
Mm, I like the Dean Martin era. That
Okay.
yeah, I love that kind of music. Um, I don't know. I mean, let's see. We just listen to all kinds of music. I
Yeah.
love bluegrass.
You
Um,
like Chris Stapleton, Sturgill Simpson? They're
no, I
both.
don't
They're
even
both.
know.
You don't even know who they are.
No. Like honestly, we put on like I put Pandora on. I know. I'm sorry. Music is a big difference.
Oh no!
Okay, no,
Oh
I'll say
no!
okay. Okie Dokie Brothers are our favorite, and it's like a kids
Oh,
band. Who are they?
you can't wear a hat like that and not know who they are. Oh
No, I
my
don't know.
gosh!
Wait, say their names again.
I'm gonna blow you away after this.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Chris Stapleton and Sturgill Simpson. They're
No.
both Kentucky boys,
Okay.
right? And Sturgill Simpson, they're both like folky bluegrass,
Mm-hmm.
bluesish almost.
Oh,
But
nice.
Sturgill Simpson, he's part of the psychedelic movement and everything. Like how some people, you know anything about like peyote or ayahuasca or like the
Peyote. Yeah,
hallucinogens like
yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah.
right? So there are some music artists that kind of dive into that
Oh,
kind of improve or expand their thinking of writing songs and whatnot. And he's a great singer and a musician already, but he didn't get big until
like
he
you started
like
doing
he
peyote.
literally well he literally did a DMT trip. Do you know
This
what that
is
is?
weird because I've never heard of DMT in my life, and then until 2 or 3 days ago, my husband was like, "I heard these guys talking about something called DMT, and then they used to burn the type of incense that has DMT in the temple." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I looked up, I was like,
So
"What?"
so the acacia tree in Israel
Yeah.
has DMT in it. It has hallucinogenic properties.
Okay.
So, and then there's this study going on in Jerusalem right now where they think that the burning bush that Moses was talking to was a burning acacia tree.
Hush
And
your mouth.
so, yeah, I know, it's crazy. But so along that though,
But
DMT,
then does that like is that you think that's legit that they're like trying to disqualify
right?
like God? You know?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I
I'm like,
question. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm like, I know that the tree grows there, but like, you also can't definitively like prove that.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing with it though. DMT is short for dimethyltryptamine,
Okay.
and it is a chemical that's actually naturally created in our brain when we enter deep REM sleep.
Yeah.
You ever have a dream that's just like you wake up and you're like, I feel like I just lived an entire life.
Yes.
That is when your brain is creating a little bit more dimethyltryptamine than usual. So basically, what happens is it's a hallucinogenic thing from the acacia tree or ayahuasca or whatever, and like what this music artist Sturgill Simpson's done, he did a DMT trip and he wrote "Turtles All the Way Down," and it's probably one of the craziest songs I've ever heard. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful song. But
Okay, I'm gonna
basically,
have to look that up.
there's like a lot of studies going on it right now, and I'm
Is it
following it.
illegal? Is it
Yeah.
okay? I was gonna say like how
Yeah.
what? How do you like?
I think it's still a Schedule One drug right now because they're just. Well, here's the thing. There's a huge movement going around taking it, trying to get it from Schedule One to Schedule Two, especially like with mushrooms and stuff like that. There's just a lot of studies going around, but basically, what people are talking about nowadays that are studying it at different universities and whatnot, they're talking about like when people go on these trips, um, and even in their dreams. So like, you know how people in the Bible like would have dreams and like they
Mhm.
would have a vision,
Right.
talking, and these things would happen. They do believe that there's more to it. They do believe that is something. So it's like here was actually an experiment that I wanted to do at some point, and my mom will kill me for saying this, but this is so people are going around tripping on all this stuff, right? But they're
Mhm.
probably not. They probably don't have God in their hearts like you and me do, right?
Mhm.
They probably don't believe that stuff. And so they go and they have these experiences and they talk to these interdimensional beings of some kind saying, hey, we're glad you found this technology, keep exploring it and whatnot, right?
Mhm.
And that's things that's actually happening, like that like I'll hear about, right?
Wow.
I think about to myself, I'm like, what would I see? You know, if I'm like somebody who like fights every day to have God at the center of their life, and I'm praying all the time, like if I just had something, like if I had like a little bit more of that is naturally created in my brain, like would I see something? Like what would I experience? And like that's always been like kind of a weird experiment that I've always wanted to do. Like I wouldn't
Yeah,
take it seriously,
right.
but
But then, like, you can, I don't know. That's scary to me. Like, 'cause
it's
then
scary
you're like,
territory.
yeah, like
Yeah,
that that drive to know more, to go deeper and deeper, and then
yep,
all of a sudden you're aware.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
And I know it's just like even borderline sacrilegious to talk about it too, but it's like always just that thing where,
Well, I mean, you need to talk about it because it's being talked about, and need to,
yep.
but
And then when somebody comes out with a statement of like, oh, Moses was just tripping on an acacia tree, I'm
mm,
like,
yeah, I just,
yeah, nobody does that. And then like an entire nation is developed out of that.
exactly,
And then like a Bible or like a book that has like withstood the test of time and been the number
exactly,
one seller in the world for 2,000 years
exactly,
straight.
exactly.
That doesn't happen
I'm
from
not.
tripping.
Yeah, I'm not buying
Yeah. So, but anyway, we just went way down a rabbit hole
it.
there. But Sturgill Simpson's that guy. Chris
Okay.
Stapleton. He's a son of a coal miner. He's got the voice of an angel.
Okay,
And
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
write their names down, and I'm gonna listen.
I'm gonna
And
show you this music after this.
okay,
But yeah. So those are two guys that actually I think you would love to hear, and I think your whole family would just love to hear
okay,
because they're
cool.
really good music. But next question. What's your So you're a Christian. Your family are Christians. Is there any particular scripture that you guys live by, or is there a
Yes.
favorite
Every
scripture?
morning and every night we recite the Shema.
Okay.
It's Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malkuto Leolam Vayed. And
Holy cow.
it's here, and it's in we. This may sound weird to people, but we've just recently like started saying Yeshua because that was his. Yeshua means
Yes.
salvation,
I just learned that too, and I'm
and
like,
so we refer to him what his people called him.
Yeshua, yeah.
Jesus was never born in Israel, there maybe in Mexico, but his
Right,
name was
right.
Yeshua. So we call him by his name Yeshua. So it's Hero
Yeah.
Israel Adonai, which means Lord. Lord our God, the Lord is one.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed be the name of his glorious kingdom forever and ever. And then Yeshua said, "Ve'ahavta le'eloka kamoka," love your neighbor as yourself. And so that's what we live by.
That's cool.
And our kids, it was really cool. Yesterday, I was finishing some exercise on the porch, and William came running out of the house and jumped on his bike. And then I hear him like praising the Lord in Hebrew. And so
As he's like taking off down the street.
yeah, he was just like, I was like, and I got my phone because Jamie was inside. The kids were still asleep, and so I texted Jay real quick, and I was like, William's praising God in Hebrew on his bike. And so it was like really cool. And that's another thing we want to teach our kids.
Like,
that's like their second language we're going to learn as a family is Hebrew. So
I think I would definitely I would have to like go over to your house if I didn't know you, because if I like saw your kid, I'd be like, hey, your son was just going full clip down the street on a bike saying something in Hebrew.
Yeah.
What are y'all doing?
Yeah. So
Cool. So, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Best piece of advice. Probably like pick your battles. Like I'm sitting there thinking, with my kids, I need to. That's something I need to learn. Pick my battles. I mean, I want our kids to obey, and because they don't obey us, they won't obey God. You know, and so. But at the same time, it's sometimes I can be too hard on my firstborn because he can fight me every step of the way. But I need to chill out and take, So
Cool. If you could give any piece of advice to the audience here, or anything that you would want them to know about yourself and your family, what else would you want them to know?
Anything else about our family? We covered a lot. I mean, my kids aren't weirdos. Like they're really bright kids, and just because they're homeschooled, I mean, they're
Well, I gotta say that about homeschoolers too. I always noticed like whenever I met a homeschooler, they were either like not good at anything or they were good at everything almost. Like that was just my cousins are homeschooled
yeah,
and they're legit.
yeah,
Like my cousin, he's like started two different businesses
it's
and he's
amazing.
2 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And my cousin, she just got married and has a kid, but she can play the violin like Charlie Daniels.
Oh wow.
And my cousin Francie, she had an injury. Unfortunately, she can't play soccer anymore. But she had a D1 scholarship offered to her as a freshman. And then my cousin Ella, she makes the most beautiful pottery I've ever seen, and
Oh
she has a website
wow.
that like she
And
displays it
see,
on.
and that's what's beautiful. Like that, like you see different gifts. I think you said it earlier in your
Hmm.
kids, and you want to teach your kids a well-rounded education, but
Yeah,
hone in on what they're good at, and like instill, like
yeah.
I don't know,
I think
and
that was something
that's
beautiful.
yeah, and I think that's something that is missing, I guess, in the American education system. But
No, you're
that
right. My
is
aunt and uncle knew that too. They were like,
yeah,
I
well done, good
like
job to
my
them.
my cousin Alex was interested in video cameras, so they got him a video camera. And they were like, make some videos.
Yeah.
Guess what he does now? He has his own media company,
Oh wow.
and he does, um, he does like real estate shows and whatnot. Like he does
Oh
that online
wow.
stuff, and he makes a great living doing that.
Is he
He
local here?
Yeah, actually, he's in Paducah. He lives in
Okay.
Lexington right now. He's finishing up college at UK.
Cool.
But do you know the bodybuilder Jay Cutler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ironically enough, he makes all of his videos.
Oh my goodness.
Jay Cutler flew him out to Las Vegas for a week to do that.
That's
That's
crazy.
because he pursued his passion.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that's cool.
Bravo.
Um, well, yeah, I think that just about does it. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And I think that
Thank you.
I truthfully, like, this was a fantastic conversation. And I think that, um, I think if people sit down and listen to this and at least kind of take a look inward into their life and the way they want to educate their family, at least they know now that it's possible. That you don't have to suppress the beautiful parts of your children, no matter how full of energy or sporadic they may be.
Yeah.
That they can develop into something beautiful, and you don't have to tame or suppress any of that. And
Yes, and for
that's a
the love
cool
of
thing.
Pete, just don't buy him a cell phone. Like, please don't, like, or the device, like,
When do you actually?
until, like,
I wanted to ask that question
yeah.
before we end. When your kids get older, when are you going to allow them to have? When are you going to allow them to have communication?
When they start driving, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 16 when I got my phone, but it will be just a phone. It's not going to be, and there's a lot of reasons I would not have let them.
Social media?
Mm, mm,
None of that?
no, I don't think it's. There's no value in it. I
Yeah.
don't. If
Okay.
it's not valuable, if it's not, I don't know. That's just us.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, Nikki, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
I
you. I
appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
Thank you all for listening. Nikki has her own Instagram where she shows the daily adventures of her family. And what is the Instagram handle?
It's at Mama and her knuckle noggins.
A
So
mama. What?
Yeah, AMAMA. So a mama and her knuckle noggins, like knuckle, NOGGINS.
Cool. That is her Instagram handle if you want to follow the adventures of Nikki and her family. And if you want to learn more about her, thank you guys so much for listening and have a blessed week.